Welcome to the shale pit, everyone. So I'm just taking a look at this tree. I've looked at this tree quite a few times, but it's got a double trunk and I really don't want to bring it home. And this tree, kind of a bush. But the first one that I saw on this day was this little spruce tree. I've had a lot of fun making forests with these small spruce trees. They get amazing natural movement, mostly from being covered in snow. This tree was definitely completely covered in snow for months, probably at least all of February for sure. But as a result, it makes them really interesting. Gives them that movement in the trunk. So there were two of these little spruce trees here that were close together. That one's a birch tree. I've gotten all my birch trees out of this area. I think that one's has died in the shale. Eventually, they can die in the shale. So this was the second tree, another little spruce tree. One of the cool things about taking them out of the shale is they come out just super easy, and the roots are almost clean on them. There's no reason to wash them off or anything. So I have taken quite a few birch trees from this area. And we're just taking a look at this one. This one's obviously a multi-trunk, and the birch trees just get crazy in the shale. I have some really nice ones now that I like. But we're just taking a look at this one. Don't want to bring it home today. So this tree also we're just taking a look at. It's a nice one. It's got really interesting movement down low in it. One of the things they always do is they have lots of low branches on them that need to be removed. I may come back and get that tree on another day. It's a nice one. Has potential. So one of the things that grows around this area is this native azalea. They have a beautiful lavender flower on them. They won't be blooming for about a month, but I decided to take that one today. So this was definitely the best tree of the day. This tree has probably been growing there for at least 25 years. And the top of it has all died off. And one of the things they always do is they have lots of low branches on them. This tree was pretty well rooted, and probably the oldest tree that I pulled out on this day. It ended up being, I think, the nicest one. Lots of times you can't see the potential in the trunk until all the lower branches are removed. So here it is, just sitting up on a rock. Once I get back home, I'll be trimming all the lower branches off of it and revealing that trunk. It was really special. So this one too is a really nice little tree. Got amazing movement in the trunk. And sometimes I trim them right there in the shale pit, and I decided to trim this one right there. But I couldn't film myself doing it, so just cutting off the Lots of times they have really long runner roots on them, searching for water. But I'll show you this one here in a minute. After I trimmed it, set it up on a rock. It's got beautiful movement in the trunk. So this is after I trimmed all the lower branches off. It's a really special little tree. I've actually never gone to this shale pit and not come home with good trees. It's such a large area. So this was the last tree that I pulled out. And this one has a really good shape for forest plantings. That's what I was thinking for this tree because it's nice and tall. It's probably a blue spruce. All of these that I pulled out on this day is probably they're either blue spruce or red spruce. I'm pretty sure that one's a blue spruce. Really good tree for a forest planting. So we're back home. I decided to put this one right into a concrete pot that I had because it's such a nice tree. And you'll see it come to life here as I trim all those lower branches off. Every tree that I've pulled out of the shale pit has these lower branches that need to be removed to reveal the trunk. And sometimes they're really big branches, like that one that I just cut off. And I was for a while I was thinking maybe I would keep that other big branch on there, but it's really a good idea just to go ahead and cut them all off to reveal as much trunk as you can. It's really about enjoying the trunks on them. So it had to go. It was actually too big for one cut. I had to go back on the bottom of it and finish it off. But you'll see with that one cut off, then it starts to really come to life. This one has a beautiful trunk. It's at least a 25-year-old tree. And the top of it has all died on it, so it might be a good tree for eventually for carving, making it like a lightning strike tree or something. But for right now, I'm just gonna get it potted up. So I'm taking a few roots off. I don't like to do a whole lot of root pruning on them because I've found that the more roots I keep, the better chance of survival with them. And one of the cool things about this is this tree has probably lived there for 25 years and been starved for nutrients, and I'm about to give it this tree compost, and overnight I see a change in them. And they start to green up, and it's just an awesome thing to give them what they need after they've struggled in the shale pit for so many years. So I'm still using the same mix I always have. It's a third tree compost, a third peat moss, and a third perlite. It just works so well. I can't see giving them I can't see doing anything else. It makes these trees really happy. So I'm realizing right about now what a good one this is. This is definitely a really good tree. So as usual, I want to get it mossed up, but here they always have lots of dead wood on them. So I'm taking out some of the dead wood on it. So the moss does a lot of things for me. One of the main things is that for watering, it makes a barrier between the dirt and the water, so the dirt would splash all over the rim on these pots if I didn't have moss on them. And of course, it's just really enjoyable to have on there. And it really just takes a little pressure to get the moss to bond with the soil. And it definitely develops right along with the tree. So all that's left is to give this one a big drink. One of the things about the shale pit is it has been excavated down about 10 feet. So it is basically down to the water table. So these trees always have access to water, they just don't have access to nutrients. So it's really interesting situation what happens to them. So here's the next one. Really nice tree. A lot of them have beautiful movement down low in them. They just always have lots of sucker branches that you have to cut off to reveal that movement. And that's one of the things I spend a lot of time in the shale pit, down on my knees looking at them, just like if you were in a nursery. It's always the trunk you're looking for. So this one's going to go into a box. And when I'm planting them, I'm always looking for the perfect level for them in the box. That one had a root that would have stopped me from planting it in the middle of the box, so that's why I cut that one off. Putting the dirt in a little at a time allows me to pull them up and get them to where I can really see the trunk on them. It's all about being able to see the trunks on them. Because if I was going to end up selling that tree, I wouldn't want it buried down in the box where someone couldn't see the trunk on it. So I'm always looking for that level where it's just right. That's right about where I want it there. So as usual, next is to moss it up. That's the other thing, that these trees never get any moss action on them. In the forest, everything is covered with moss, and I know it makes these trees happy. But in the shale, they've never had it, so this will be their first moss experience also. So it's a very cool thing to give these trees a different situation after they've been in that shale for so many years. And right now we're just in a really wet time, but when we get into summer and any kind of drought situation, even where it hasn't rained for a couple of weeks, then they start to suffer in the shale. So here's the tall tree. Get it all cleaned up. It's always a good idea to cut a lot of lower branches on them. This one had a lot of brown ends on it, and that could be from when it gets into a drought situation and it doesn't have water to move up to those areas, and they die off on the tips of them. So I'm removing a bunch of those, because none of these trees can put a tap root down. They're all just surface roots. So that's that one all cleaned up. So this one's also going in a box. That's one of my triggers now. When I have empty boxes sitting around, it's time to go to the shale pit. Now I just need to go find 5 or 6 more of those similar tall trees, and I'll have a makings of a nice forest. So it was what they used to call here a fine day. It was a really fun day. That's about the amount of trees I usually try to bring home at one time. 5 or 6 of them. So there's that one all mossed up. Give it a big drink. So here's the booty. So I have quite a few of these azaleas now, and I'll be showing them off when they're in bloom. Won't be for about a month, around the 1st of April or so. There's the prize of this day. It's a beautiful tree. It's one of the small ones. I hope everyone's having a great bonsai day. I certainly did. And I'll see you next time on Bonsai by the Sea.